Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Monday, October 9th. We're going to take a look at T2 today. So I want to start here on the 10-minute and just talk about how we might have seen what happened today coming as it progressed. And we'll start with the levels, then we'll flip over to some indicators and stuff like that and sort of work our way through. And then we'll zoom out to the daily and just sort of get a sense of where we are in the overall broader picture of things. Now, coming into today, it was wrestling a lot with this dotted line that we have here, this 2688. So I had put that in as a question of how strong it would be and thought maybe it might take shape over this coming week, and so far it looks like it might be playing a role. We'll see how it looked as the day progressed, but in any case, strong movement up in the pre-market, skipped a few levels. Oftentimes what we see then is it comes down to course correct and retest those levels before it continues on. It did that here, and it did it again into open, and then a big jump up here, 12.5% 10-minute candle to open the day. But then basically, it came down, confirmed the levels that it skipped, and tried to run at that 33 level that we have on the chart, and it quickly double topped there on the wicks. Skirted just north of it, but just couldn't hold it, and then tried to build a floor at the level below 31.37, lost that, sort of quickly lost this 30.37 and confirmed it as resistance, and did the same thing here, 29.33, though it put up a little bit more of a fight, but basically got caught under a downtrend resistance here. You could have drawn this in intraday, for example, and this would have guided you to every single push off on the way down. But the levels held up really, really well in the sense of it was pushing where we would expect it to push. It was trying to hold where we would expect it to. It was confirming support and resistance where we would expect it to. So good motion there from my point of view. Now, we didn't quite get a retest of this dotted line, so I'm going to leave it dotted for now. I was hoping, not hoping against the bulls, but I was sort of hoping that it would come down and retest this 2688 during market hours, and it didn't quite make it down there, just to see if it continued to hold and play as significant of a role in the daytime hours as it did here, and especially as it was peeling off so many gains. If it was able to catch some support there, that could have been really interesting. So it stopped just shy of there. That could also be indicative of it didn't need to come down to test this level again because it has some more bullish momentum in it, and it just needed to peel through these layers first, but that it's not going to reconfirm the low prior to the market open today. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's sort of what I'm looking at for the time being. So aside from the double top at a resistance level that we had on the chart, if we just hide these drawings. Hey folks, just so you know, you can get these videos early and ad-free. If you click on the description below and become a member, you can make that happen, and I really appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the video. Just say we had the EMAs open today. We see here, as the price is riding strong, it's getting support over this 8 EMA, and it's riding that nicely, and then when it dips down, it holds that 34 EMA. Always a strong, point of importance there, as well as this 8 doesn't cross below any of these other EMAs in order to turn into a bearish trend. And it regains support there, confirms support here, and then rides that again. Now what happens here? It begins fighting with it again, and here's the test, right? If it had bounced, you would have wanted to see it bounce here, but instead what happens is it slips support and starts confirming resistance. At that same time as it's confirming this candle, this 8 EMA is crossing below the 21 EMA, therefore putting in that bearish trend that I was just talking about when it flips. And then it further confirms resistance right here as the price tries to retake the 34 EMA and now also rejects off that. That should have been a strong indication that, hey, there's potentially more to this sell-off, and obviously then you had shift down from about 30, pulled down all the way to 27. So interesting look there. And then if we flip over to the Think or Swim, just to get a sense of what that would have looked like coming into today, you have this confirmation, this hold over the center line here, this center of the channel, this bright blue line. And it's popping out of the channel, coming down, coming kind of close to the center, popping out of the channel again, trying to ride the wave cloud, but just further losing it and losing. You see this cloud is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Bullish momentum dying down, as is also indicated by the histogram here in the TTM squeeze indicator. Then it flips, confirms resistance there, same motion that we saw on the Weeble chart, and then that further leads to stronger selling off during the day. Ultimately leaves the channel here with this 180 to 200 EMA cloud swooping in to potentially try to provide some additional support, and works its way back into the channel in the interim, with maybe bearish momentum dying down. It sort of got clocked out there by the end of the day, so it's a little hard to tell. But just thought it would be interesting to take a look at that. Now, if we zoom out to the daily and sort of see where we are with these EMAs on the daily, we still see it trying, right? It's with this big move on Friday, it was trying to get support over that 8 EMA, and it's did a good job of that. I mean, it took it 35% to the upside to make that happen, but then it hit a rejection on this 34 EMA. But today, it did what it needed to do, and it put in the candle above that 34 EMA. And even though this is a very bottom-heavy candle with a long wick to the top, it's done the job of attempting, putting it in the best position possible, just regardless of the structure of the candle, of getting price action situated above the 34 EMA. Now the question is going to be, can it hold it? This has been such a roller coaster ride, and what gets tricky is when you start to see bearish crossovers like this that then just get sort of blown out by a huge day of plus 65%, and then it loses it again and recedes quite significantly in price, more significantly than it had been previously. So that's my question at the moment is, does this even hold? Do we see a repeat of something like this happen? And if it does continue to push and this 8 has a bullish crossover above the 21 and or above the 34, can it swing higher than this swing high here, which on this day was 4685. That will be really, really key to see if it still is sort of in an overall downtrend here of making sometimes some higher lows, but often, more often than not, lower lows, right? And lower highs, right? Lower high, lower high. And now here's the question. Now that it has some price, that it has a candle over the 34 EMA, what are we going to get here on this swing? That's the question that I'm, sort of wondering at the moment. So if we get rid of those puppies and just sort of see where we are, this is quite cluttered on the daily, but as you see, it shucked off, really close as we saw when we zoomed in to that level. And there's a bunch of levels in here, but this was sort of better illustrated by what we would have seen when we zoomed in. There is still this gap down here, so if it does peel back quickly, I'd maybe be aware of that. So that gap starts at about 2175 and it gets filled at about 2029. Now on the daily, or let's first look at the hour and then the daily on the Think or Swim study just to get a sense. So spending a lot of time outside the upper bound of the channel, and then just at the end of the day today, finally coming down and testing the mid-range of the channel. So still trying to hold the bullish momentum there, still trying to hold the opportunity for an upper bound push within the channel on the hour. So that will be sort of telling as we get into tomorrow. Now on the daily, let me just fix this a little bit so we can see it better. On the daily, you see this becomes a tough one because it's been such a roller coaster. So you see things like this where it appears to be trapped underneath the mid-range of the channel, and then it's just one day, that was that huge day that we looked at in the Weeble chart, and it just pops up and pushes the upper bound of the channel. There's sort of like no warning. But then what happens, to the same degree on the flip side of things is it just loses it over the course of 2 days. It loses the mid-range of the channel and then just immediately pushes toward the lower bound of the channel. And so now we're kind of in that situation again where it sort of methodically made its way up, a nice push off here off the lower mid-range of the channel, tested the mid-range, but now the question is, are we going to get some sort of just wild erratic action like we saw here? Is this going to do something more methodical? I don't know. That's kind of the question that we're in at the moment. But that is the look as I see it. I hope that your trading week got off to a good start today. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.